Okay, my name is William Dowling. I teach English and American Literature at Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey. The poem we're going to be talking about today is Robert Browning's My Last Duchess. The students whose faces you're going to see and whose voices you're going to be hearing are my regularly enrolled students in English 219 at Rutgers. We've been going for about 2.5 months now. They're all thoroughly trained in the method that we use in English 219. At the very beginning of the class, in fact right now, I'm going to ask for their Pensa exercises. Could I have them passed left to right and down to Megan? These are, each one of these singularly is called a pensum exercise. It's a Latin word for homework. We make the class classical by calling them pensa. The plural is pensa. These play an enormously important role in the course. They consist of syntactic analysis. Poetry is hard to read very often because the grammar is hard to understand. The way the order of words in a line assigns a meaning to one word or another. The antecedent of a pronoun makes one reading possible and others impossible. They also include long sections on the Oxford English Dictionary, that great work of lexicography which gives us the English language, meanings of every word in the English language all the way back to Chaucer, all the way back to the 14th century. These students are expert in using the OED, as we call it in here. The third section of the pensum exercise is explicative paraphrase. And what I normally ask when I ask for an explicative paraphrase is just for them to use the language, plain English, that would make the meaning clear to a bright high school student, say, who wasn't used to reading poetry. It's a wonderful way of explaining to yourself what you think a difficult passage in a poem or a difficult line or a difficult metaphor means. Now, since what we're going to do today is going to be seen by a lot of people who aren't in English 219, I want to begin by going over the principles that underlie the method that you're going to hear put into action as soon as the students join me in discussing Browning's My Last Duchess. You should remember that the students have internalized these principles. This is what you're going to hear, something that I say at the beginning of every class, but on the first day. Now they've internalized them. They know all about speaker and internal audience and dramatic setting and so on. This is simply for those of you who are watching, so you know what set of abstract principles underlies the method of close reading that we'll be talking about. When I teach an English 219 class for the first day, I usually start out by talking about why people come to me very often hating poetry. They hate poetry because they've had it in high school, and in high school there are a number of reasons why poetry is incomprehensible to them, looks like word salad on the page, or perhaps looks like an excuse to say anything you want about a poem because anybody's entitled to get anything out of a poem which they want. But I have found through long experience, I've been teaching this course, some version of this course for 40 years now, that the deep source of their confusion is that they come to poetry, or they've been taught by teachers who come to poetry and try to approach it through what I call the information model of language. So the first thing we do is we dispose of the information model of language.